The rain on Velis Prime didn't fall, it hissed. It struck the neon-lit streets like needles, bouncing off metallic surfaces and dissolving into steam against the city's heated walkways. Above, towering spires of glass and alloy pierced the smog-heavy sky, each one humming with the power of civilizations far older and far stronger than humanity. And at the center of it all stood the Embassy District, a place where humans were tolerated. Barely. Cale Vire stood at the entrance of the Terran Dominion Embassy, his hands clasped behind his back, posture calm, eyes alert. His black coat clung slightly from the moisture, and his boots made no sound as he shifted his weight. To most of the galaxy, he was nothing special. A human. Weak. Slow. Fragile. To the Terran, he was barely worth acknowledging. Inside the embassy, voices echoed, sharp, melodic, and edged with arrogance. The Terran were tall, silver-skinned beings with luminous eyes and a culture built on superiority. They valued strength, precision, and lineage. Humans had none of those in their eyes. Especially not Cale. "You're late," a voice said behind him. Cale didn't turn immediately. He already knew who it was. Commander Elora Voss. He faced her slowly. She stood tall even among her own kind, her silver hair cascading over a sharply tailored uniform, her glowing violet eyes fixed on him with thinly veiled disdain. "You're early," Cale replied calmly. Her lips tightened. "I do not deal in human humor." "Good," he said. "I wasn't joking." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then she stepped closer, circling him slightly, studying him like one might study a defective tool. "This assignment is not a favor," Elora said. "You are here because the Council insists on diversity of representation. Otherwise, I would not trust the safety of this embassy to you." Cale met her gaze evenly. "Noted." She scoffed softly. "You're aware of the threats?" 12 confirmed assassin signatures, Cale said. "Possibly more. Mixed species. Highly trained." Her eyebrow lifted slightly. "You've done your homework. I prefer staying alive." Elora crossed her arms. "That would be advisable, because if you fail, it will not only be your life lost, but mine as well." Cale gave a faint nod. "Then I won't fail." She studied him for a long moment. Then, with a dismissive flick of her hand, "Just try not to get in the way." The attack came 3 hours later. Not with explosions. Not with alarms. But with silence. Cale felt it first. A shift in the air. A subtle distortion. His eyes narrowed. "Movement," he muttered into his calm. No response. That was the first problem. The second came a heartbeat later. When the lights went out, darkness swallowed the corridor. Then, a whisper of movement behind him. Cale moved before the blade struck. He pivoted sharply, catching the attacker's wrist mid-swing. The assassin was fast, inhumanly fast, but Cale's reaction was faster. He twisted. Bones snapped. The alien let out a sharp, guttural cry before Cale drove his elbow into its throat, sending it collapsing to the floor. 1 down. 11 to go. Elsewhere in the embassy, Elora stood in the central chamber, her hand resting on the hilt of her energy blade. "Status report," she demanded. Still no response. Her eyes narrowed. This is not amusing. Then, a body fell from the upper balcony. One of her guards. Dead before it hit the ground. Elora's grip tightened. They're inside. Cale moved through the corridors like a shadow. Silent. Precise. Deadly. 2 more assassins lunged at him from opposite sides. One cloaked, the other wielding twin plasma daggers. Cale didn't hesitate. He dropped low, sweeping the legs out from under the cloaked attacker, then rolled forward as the second slashed downward. The blade missed him by inches. Kale came up inside the assassin's guard. 3 rapid strikes. Solar plexus. Throat. Temple. The alien crumpled. Behind him, the cloaked attacker recovered. Too slow. Kale grabbed its arm, spun it around, and used its own blade to finish the job. 3 down. Elora fought like a storm. 2 assassins rushed her simultaneously, both faster and stronger than any human could hope to match. But Elora was not human. She moved with fluid grace, her blade flashing in arcs of violet light. 1 attacker fell, then another. But as she turned, a 3rd emerged from the shadows. Too close. Too fast. The blade came for her throat and stopped. Midair. Elora blinked. The assassin's arm trembled, then twisted violently. The sound of breaking bone echoed. Kale stood behind it, expression calm. He pushed the body aside. Watch your blind spots. Elora stared at him. You. No time, he said. More incoming. They moved together after that. Reluctantly, but efficiently. Kale covered angles Elora couldn't. Elora handled threats Kale couldn't overpower directly. And slowly, the number of assassins dwindled. 5 left. Then 4. Then 3. Until only 2 remained. They found them in the core chamber, waiting. Unlike the others, these 2 didn't rush in blindly. They stood still, observing, calculating. Leaders, Kale said quietly. Elora nodded. I can feel it. The assassins moved as one, faster than anything they had faced so far. Kale barely dodged the first strike, the blade slicing through his coat. Elora clashed with the second, their weapons colliding in bursts of light. Kale countered quickly, driving a punch into his opponent's side. No effect. The assassin didn't even flinch. Armor plating, Kale muttered. Adaptive, Elora added. It learns. Great. The assassin struck again. Kale blocked, but the force sent him skidding back. Not good. He exhaled slowly. Then, he smiled. Elora noticed. And for the first time, she hesitated. Why are you smiling? Because, Kale said, loosening his shoulders. Now it gets interesting. The next few seconds changed everything. Kale stopped fighting like a human. Because he wasn't. Not entirely. His movement sharpened. Accelerated. Every strike became precise. Calculated not just for impact, but for outcome. He let the assassin hit him once. Just once. The blade grazed his side. And in that moment, he learned. Pattern. Timing. Weakness. Then, he adapted. The next strike he avoided completely. The one after that, he redirected. And the third, he countered. Hard. The assassin staggered. Just slightly. But it was enough. Kale grabbed its arm, twisted, and drove his knee into a seam in its armor. The plating cracked. The assassin froze. Kale didn't. He finished it. Across the chamber, Elora watched. For the first time, she looked unsure. Her opponent lunged. She blocked, but her timing faltered. Kale was there in an instant. He intercepted the strike, taking the hit on his forearm guard. Focus, he said. Elora blinked, then nodded. Together, they moved. Perfectly in sync. And this time, the assassin didn't stand a chance. Silence fell. 12 assassins. All dead. The embassy stood intact. Elora lowered her blade slowly. Her breathing steadied. Then, she turned to Kale. You're not. She paused. Just a human. Kale wiped a small line of blood from his side. No, he said simply. She stepped closer. What are you? Kale met her gaze. For a moment, he considered lying. Then, he didn't. I'm what happens, he said, when humans stopped being underestimated. Elora studied him
long, carefully.
Then, for the first time, she inclined her head, not in superiority, but in respect. Later, as the rain continued to hiss against the city of Velis Prime, the story began to spread. Of 12 assassins, of a failed operation, of a human who should have died, but didn't. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, others began to take notice. Because the galaxy had just learned something new. Humans weren't weak. They were underestimated. And that was far more dangerous. The bodies were already being removed. Silent drones hovered through the shattered corridors of the embassy, lifting the remains of the 12 assassins with mechanical precision. The damage was minimal, almost unnaturally so. Walls scorched, a few fractures in reinforced alloy, but nothing that reflected the scale of the attack that had just taken place. It didn't make sense. Not to anyone who understood what those assassins were. Elora Voss stood at the center of the main chamber, watching it all unfold. Her posture was as perfect as ever, but her thoughts were not. They kept returning to him.
Calevire.
He stood near one of the fractured pillars, rolling down his sleeve as if nothing extraordinary had happened. A faint line of dried blood marked his side, but he didn't even seem to acknowledge it. "You should be in medical," Elora said, her voice cutting through the quiet. Cale glanced at her. "I've had worse." That wasn't a suggestion. He gave a small, almost amused exhale. "Your concern is noted." She frowned slightly. "I am not concerned." "Of course not." Another pause. Then she stepped closer. "This doesn't make sense," she said, more quietly now. 12 elite operatives. Trained across multiple systems. Enhanced. Coordinated. And yet, her eyes locked onto his. They failed. Cale didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked past her, through the towering glass wall of the embassy, out into the neon storm of Velis Prime. "They didn't fail," he said finally. Elora narrowed her eyes. "They were stopped. And the difference?" Cale turned back to her. "The difference is," he said calmly, "they did exactly what they were designed to do." Elora's expression hardened. "Which is? To test us." Silence. The words hung heavy in the air. "You're suggesting this wasn't the real attack," she said. "I'm saying," Cale replied, "that anyone who sends 12 assassins like that isn't expecting them to win." Elora's mind raced. That meant this was reconnaissance. Cale nodded once. "And now," he added, "they know exactly how we fight." The hidden truth. Hours later, deep within the secured lower levels of the embassy, Elora accessed restricted intelligence channels. What she found made her blood run cold. The 12 assassins weren't just mercenaries. They were signatures. Each one linked to a different faction, different empires, different war doctrines. It was impossible. No alliance existed between them. No known coalition. Unless they're being unified, Elora whispered. Behind her, Cale leaned against the doorway. "Told you." She turned sharply. "You knew." "I suspected." "That's not the same thing." "It is when you survive long enough." Elora stepped toward him. "This changes everything. If someone is coordinating across factions, if they're studying us, they're preparing," Cale finished. "For war." The message. An alarm pulsed softly through the chamber. Not a threat alert. A transmission. Encrypted. Priority override. Elora activated it immediately. The holographic display flickered to life. At first, it showed nothing but static. Then, a figure emerged.
Tall.
Distorted. Unidentifiable. But the voice.
Clear. Calm. Cold.
"Commander Elora Voss," it said. Alara's hand instinctively moved toward her blade. Identify yourself. The figure ignored the command. Your defenses were impressive. Alara said nothing. Beside her, Kale watched silently. We thank you, the voice continued, for your cooperation. Cooperation. Alara snapped. You sent assassins into my embassy. And you responded exactly as predicted. Alara's eyes flicked to Kale. The figure continued, especially the human. Silence fell like a blade. Alara's voice lowered. What about him? A pause. Then, he is unexpected. Kale didn't move, but something in his posture shifted. Adaptable, resilient, dangerous. The hologram flickered slightly. Tell me, the voice said, what is his designation? Alara didn't hesitate. He's just a human. The moment the words left her mouth, she knew they weren't true anymore. The figure tilted its head. No, it said softly. He is not. A brief pause. Then, we will be watching. The transmission cut. Aftermath. The room felt colder after that. Alara exhaled slowly. They're targeting you. Kale shrugged. They already were. This is different, she said. Now they're interested. Kale pushed himself off the wall.
Good.
Alara stared at him. You think this is good? I think, he said, it's honest. He stepped closer. For the first time, they're not underestimating us. Alara held his gaze. And that matters? Kale's expression hardened slightly. It means they'll stop making mistakes.
A beat.
And start making plans. The realization. Days passed. Reinforcements arrived. Security protocols tripled. But the tension never left. Because now they knew something bigger was coming. Alara stood once more at the edge of the embassy balcony, overlooking the endless lights of Velis Prime. Kale joined her quietly. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then, I was wrong about you, she said. Kale didn't react. I know. She almost smiled. I thought humans were weak. You weren't alone. I thought you were expendable. That one's still debatable. She turned to him. No, she said firmly. It isn't. Another pause. Then, what are you, Kale? This time, he answered differently.
Human, he said.
Alara frowned slightly. That's not enough. Kale looked out over the city. It will be. Final scene. Far beyond Velis Prime, in the darkness between systems, a massive structure drifted silently, alive with energy, watching, learning. Inside, multiple species stood together, something that should not have been possible. On a central display, a single image remained frozen.
Kalevire.
12 combat sequences. Analyzed. Replayed. Studied. Conclusion, one voice asked. Another answered. Human capability exceeds projections. A third voice, colder than the rest,
spoke last.
Then we adjust.
A pause.
Then, prepare the next phase. Closing line. Back on Velis Prime, as the rain continued to hiss against steel and glass, Commander Alara Voss stood beside the man she once dismissed. The man she had called just a human.
Now.
She knew better. Because when 12 assassins came for him, he didn't run. He didn't hide. He didn't break. He adapted. He fought. And he won. And in doing so, he changed the way the galaxy would see his kind forever.